So in our next lesson, I want to talk about strong versus weak acids and bases. And so one of the points that I want to drive home to today is that the strength of an acid is not related to its concentration, but I will get to that later. So what prompted scientists perhaps to begin thinking about the strength of acids is that they noticed that the conductivity of a strong acid, an acid that could do lots of damage, versus a weak acid, an acid that tends to do less damage, is different. There's some differences in conductivity. So for example, if I took a strong acid in solution and I hooked it up to a conductivity apparatus, then I would see lots and lots of light coming out of that light bulb or whatever load it is, right? Whereas a weak acid would not be able to produce as strong of a current, resulting in a dimmer light bulb. So there's definitely current being produced in a solution of weak acid, but for some reason the conductivity is not nearly what it is in that of a strong acid. So what the heck is going on? Well, as it turns out, what makes an acid powerful or strong is the number of hydrogen ions that are actually out there able to do work in solution. So a strong acid is a substance that releases a whole lot of hydrogen ions into solution, whereas an acid that is considered weak is called so because not all of the acid molecules are actually able to dissociate or donate their protons into the solution. So you notice here in the picture of the weak acid that you still have some molecules remaining, whereas 100% of the acid molecules have dissociated in my strong solution. So the strength of an acid is not related to its concentration. It describes the degree to which the acid or base is able to dissociate or donate or accept a proton in water. So let me explain this a little more. So here I have a strong acid. So I want you to imagine that if I had 100 HCl molecules and I dumped those 100 HCl molecules into water, that all 100 of those HCl molecules would ionize to form hydronium and HCl ions, right? So in other words, 100% all of my acid molecules are going to break apart, or nearly all of them are going to break apart, ionize in solution. And what that does is it frees up my hydronium ion to go out and to do some damage, right? Same as a base. So a strong base is a substance that in water will form hydroxide ions, but also the same thing, it will ionize 100%. Let me juxtapose this with what happens with a weak acid and weak base. So in order to be considered a weak acid or a weak base, we look at less than 50% ionization. So, and these are just examples that I'm providing here, but here's vinegar. Acetic acid is what makes up vinegar. So imagine that if I had 100 molecules of acetic acid, that only a small percentage, less than 50% of them, would ionize in solution. So you can imagine that if you have far fewer H plus ions in solution, that there's not going to be a lot of H plus ions there or hydronium ions to do damage, right? Also, there are going to be far fewer ions present in solution in order to be able to conduct electricity, to have a current flow effectively. So same goes with ammonia. I don't know what the percent dissociation is for ammonia. That's something that we could look up. But suffice it to say that it must be less than 50%, otherwise it would not fall into the category of being a weak base. So weak bases, just like weak acids, undergo less than 50% ionization. So that's it for our second video. Make sure to jot down any questions that you have or ideas that you need clarified for tomorrow's class, and I'll be happy to help.